Andrew Fogliato has spent the past decade helping thousands of real estate professionals grow through creative strategy, paid media, and social media content systems. As the founder of Just Sell Homes and publisher of REM Magazine, he brings a very interesting perspective around marketing, media, and real estate. Today's conversation is going to cover real estate agents, how they can specifically stand out, creative strategy, and the over-encompassing balance between using AI and when not to use AI. Andrew Fogliato, welcome to the Operator Podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So, Andrew, just to get started, let's say, how would you position a brand new real estate agent today so they don't really look or sound like everyone else?
So, first that we always look to do is figure out, because the big thing with real estate agents is people come in at all different times of their life. Like, not everyone comes out of school. So how you're going to position someone who's your age versus someone who comes in who's 40 versus 60 and that vastly different experiences in life is going to change. So we first have to kind of think about, like, what is unique to them, what makes them stand out. And we use what we call the ACE marketing framework, which is just something we made up based on our experience. But basically it's a platform or like a framework to build a marketing strategy around. And then the first kind of piece of that is we got to get them leads in. And then to do that, the first step, and we have like three core, the ACE framework stands for attract, convert, and engage. And the attract phase, the first component of it is niche. So like, kind of, who are you going after? And that's where we typically try to figure out the easiest way to do that. Typically for most new people coming in is to niche down to kind of the people like you. So like, if I went back to sales today, because I used to be a realtor, I'm not anymore. If I went back to sales today, I'd go young families looking to get kind of that forever home, because we just recently did that as well. And it's way easier to relate to that group and work with them. So like when I got into the industry, when I was like 25, we did I worked with first-time buyers, first-time sellers. That became my niche because that was who was in the same position as I am at the time. And it's just way easier to work with that group when you're part of it. You're going to be in the same places as them. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about real estate. It's really easy from that end to like find the right group to go after typically, because everybody needs a place to live. So it's kind of, and the other nice thing, area can change a lot. So I don't know where kind of people listen to from this typically, but I'm in the Greater Toronto area. Average commission here could be anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 fairly easily. So it doesn't take that many deals to do good. Like at the end of the day, like you get 12 to 20 deals a year, you're making a couple $100,000 out the gate. It's not hard to find that many people in your demographic. And then it's just convincing them to work with you. So it's just, you can be very niche. Like we've worked with people like I know a guy a couple of years back, he made $300,000-400,000 a year. And his target was the deaf community because he could do sign language. And even though it's really small community, you don't need that many of them to have a good business, but then they also refer the people that they know that aren't deaf as well. So it works out pretty well.
Just to jump in, when you were a real estate agent specifically, outside of the commonality of you were like a young family, etc., what was a few other reasons why people decided to work with you as a real estate agent?
So when I started, I didn't know anything that I was doing. Like I knew nothing about marketing. I came from concrete forming. So I literally knew nothing. And I did it kind of everything wrong, wasted a lot of money. My first few clients actually all came from two things. One, I actually went to all the top producers in my office and just said, give me your overflow, the leads you don't want to deal with, the stuff you don't want to deal with. And I got them to send me those. And I just gave them a cut of everything I got off those leads. And you'd be surprised early on in your career how much you're going to get. So as a young person, this is coming specifically from someone who's young in the industry, how many people were working with me because they knew I'd give them the time and I was responsive, right? Like I didn't have any other things going on really that would get in the way of me serving them. And that was actually a big part of it. Now, like, it'd be very different around today. Like, now I'd have a defined process. Like, here's the process we use. Like, when we work with realtors, I have one I call the 3BD framework, which is the 3 buyer decision framework, because that's what we would kind of put into place to sell their home. And like, we'd have an entire process that's like, here's the specific things we use. Back then, I didn't know any of that. It was literally just, I was more responsive than everyone else, and I went hard into sales. Like, the thing I often talk to realtors about is like, let's say, you marketing here, sales here, and this is kind of the buyer journey, right? Like, someone's a general member of the public, they're one of your clients. Marketing can either get them all the way here, or sales can, or you can kind of meet them in between. So like,
Yeah.
you can do this much marketing, sales picks them up here and takes them this far. You can do this much marketing, sales takes them that far, or you can do sales the whole way. And it's figuring out the right approach for you. Early on, I typically would go very sales heavy. And then as you kind of get going, you build up the marketing side so you can do less on the sales side specifically. But that's kind of where I would go now, is go really get out there and do that stuff that is not easy to replicate for someone who's busy. So get out there and meet a lot of people, do a lot of events, do things like that, get really in the weeds, and while you're building out the more long-term marketing pieces. Yeah.
What are maybe 3 other ways outside of events, outside of what you just mentioned, that real estate agents could use to get their name out there, and additionally to potentially get clients from?
So I always look at, where are your clients? So depending on who you're growing, like, if I were to go back in sales today and build my own business, I would do a combination of Instagram and YouTube. I think right now, today, those are the 2 best platforms for doing it. Instagram, I would just kind of flood it with reels and a ton of I wouldn't do high production value outside of listings. That's a separate thing. When you have a
Yeah.
listing, I'd go high production value on that, which we can get into why. And I would also do low production value on listings. Like, I would have both a high production one and a low production version. And then every day I'd be publishing more educational style stuff with some personality in it. And it's just driving people to DM me. And my goal would be, how many conversations can I get going on in the DMs? And because that's where everything happens. Like, everyone we work with that gets consistent results from Instagram directly, they're driving those conversations that way and having them. And then kind of move them off at a certain point. And that's where you got to map out for you, like, where does that fit into your process? But I would try to get as many DMs going. The big mistake I see people make is not also messaging every new follower. Like, if you know Dan Martell, he's a big proponent of that, like, message every new follower. And it was one of those things, as soon as I heard him say it, I was like, why don't I do that more? Like, I've done it here and there, but so we started getting some clients that said, and it works. Like, not everyone responds to you, but anytime you get a lead on any platform, there's always going to be some that ghost you. There's going to be some that block you. You're going to get some people who unfollow you. Some people will be like, why are you messaging me? That's weird. But then you also get people who end up becoming clients. And typically, like, you're in sales, put the work in and get the sale. So we always now will, like, recommend clients to message them and just say, like, hey, thanks for following. Are you here because you're, just generally interested about real estate in the area, or are you planning to move? And, if 1 out of every 100 people respond and say they're planning to move, it's already worth it, just from like what most commissions are in most areas.
Yeah. So then, to follow up on what you said of like the high quality listing specifically on social media and like the low quality listing, let's say if you had a videographer, did the entire house, like, how would you take that listing and turn it into like a dozen pieces of content?
Yeah. So I would actually start before, like, I would look at it a little bit differently. So the first thing I would do is, like, when I'm going on a listing appointment, I'd start videoing then, because I'm also want to build up content to, after it's sold, almost create like a mini documentary of the process. That's like a case study. So that, let's say I'm selling a single family home in this specific neighborhood in town. If anyone in the future ever reaches out to me again from that area, be like, actually, here's a little documentary video of it. So I'm going to start filming the whole process. Then when we get to the actual, like, I'm getting the home ready for sale, because now we're like, before you can even take those videos and do the professional video, you got to get the home ready for sale. I'm using that to make more content. So, like, I'm going to go through their home as we're staging it, as we're reorganizing it. Every single room and how we stage it can be its own video. So if there's 10 rooms in a house, there's 10 different pieces of content, because you can explain how you're staging it and how you're getting that part of the home ready. Then you can do a full one that way. Then you're also going to shoot, and these ones I do with my phone, it would just be like hey, we're getting this home ready for sale right now. We got the photographer. You can see them behind me. You got the videographer coming shortly. If you want details on this before it hits the market, DM me here. Again, really easy. You got to be a little careful because there's clear co-op policy, which says once you start marketing it, you only have so long until it can go live. You got to kind of figure out what that timing looks like for you. But that's going to change in different areas. So what we do that is like the full before. Then when the videographer gets there, we want that. If I were recommending it, my tour video would actually be like 15 minutes, and it would be me or the agent walking through the house, selling it to them. And I'd be treating it like I'm doing a showing to a buyer. I wouldn't necessarily do the comedic stuff. Some of that works really well. The guy who sprints through listings, love that content.
The young kid,
or the girl down in Tampa who is just super vulgar about it. I think they're hilarious. I like them. Not how I would do it. They obviously work for their business model, but I don't know if their business model is selling real estate so much as the influencer side,
entertainment,
which is separate. That is a model that some do. I know people who do that very, very well. Your goal is to sell the house. I would be doing it as I'm selling this to a buyer that's coming with me through their home, and I'm showing them all the pieces of the home. And a big part of that reason, because what a lot of people miss with the listing presentation video, the odds of someone watching that 15-minute video are going to be very small. One, you can cut that up into different pieces of content. But what I really look at it as is this is a listing presentation. So for other neighbors, when they're trying to decide who to hire to sell their home, they're going to look at the people around them. A sign on the lawn in a neighborhood is a great way to get neighbors to list with you too. So they're going to go and check, what did that agent do to market their property? And what you're trying to create for them is that impression of, that's somebody I want to sell my home. So a 15-minute video of you walking through, incredibly professional, incredibly good at what you're doing, is that opportunity to showcase your skill set to the neighbors as well. And then to unrepresented buyers, they might want to work with you too. So we're thinking of it as that as a credibility piece, as this is someone who's kind of doing the job, they're a professional, they know what they're doing. And that's why you're also going high production value for that one, because it's also showing you're putting the time and care. From a pure results standpoint of I want more conversations to start from an Instagram video, for example, my phone will always outproduce typically what a videographer does. I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to be like, hey, check this out. This is I'm going to show you my 3 favorite things about this home. 1, this, 2, this, 3, this. Things like that work incredibly well. They do well. But from I want to get other listings in the area, a lot of the average homeowner isn't, so tuned into social media. They understand that these organic videos that don't look professional actually outperform the professional looking ones. And because in their mind, professional looking means more money in their pocket, you have to do those at times to kind of get over that, because sometimes you can't have that explanation with them and explain the difference. They've already written you off and not brought you in because of it. So there are things you want to do as a marketer that aren't always the most efficient way to do it, but it's because that's what your consumers expect it to be. So we do look at it from that perspective. So but if you're going after a demographic that is younger, if I was going after your age, I probably wouldn't have to do that. But a lot of people your age aren't buying homes yet, right? Typically in most areas, people are 35 and up before they're buying a home. So the average person 35 and up doesn't know the nuance unless they're in marketing of the highly produced versus that kind of more organic feel. So knowing who the demographic is that's going to see it, and then giving them a little bit of what they expect to see, is going to ultimately lead to better results for you.
One way to create piece of content is additionally to overcome potential objections from a seller buyer. So what are the top 3 objections that you typically receive, and how do you overcome or pre-handle them in your content?
So, that's going to vary to everybody. There's not a one-off answer every time of this is the top 3 objection, because when I was 25, literally the most common objection I got is, you're too young to do this. Not an issue for me anymore. I got the kids, I got gray in my beard most of the time. If the barber hasn't just cut it out, gray in the hair, that gets rid of that objection most of the time. They start seeing your name everywhere, gets rid of that objection. So it's understanding where you are in relation to them and being very honest about how they're going to see you relative to the competition. So like if you're a solo agent competing against teams, you have to know what the teams are going to say, which is that you as a solo agent aren't going to be able to compete with the level of service because they have a whole team serving you for the same value. Because they're typically going to say, like, listen, they're probably going to charge the same as us, but you get this whole team, they don't get anything. If you're the solo agent, you're going to come in and be like, basically pull the opposite of like, you're not even going to have someone there. You're going to be like, you're an anonymous person in this like thing. I'm going to give you that white glove custom service. Is there a right or wrong there? Like that just comes down to like, I know solo agents who outperform teams from a service level. And I know teams that blow everyone away from a service level. It's up to you to kind of communicate. So it's knowing how do people, when you come into their marketing, and not a lot of people look at this, which is they don't think too much about what stage do they grab a lead. And going back to the concept, I'm sure, like this is a closed client over here, and this is just a general public person. Like here, they make the decision, I'm interested in real estate. Oh, I'm going to move. I need an agent. I'm going to make an offer. I've bought a house. Some people pick them up here. Some people pick them up over here. Some people pick them up here. You have to know and plan your follow-up around where you're picking them up in that process. And not a lot of people do that. Because if I'm picking up someone at an open house, they're already out there seeing homes. I already know quite a bit. So really what I'm trying to decide there is, are they just hobbyists? And do they already have an agent and they're just busy today? That's why they're going to an open house. But if I'm getting someone off Instagram or Facebook, I don't even know if they're looking at homes yet. I don't even know, like this probably because like there's a whole kind of joke in the real estate world of like house porn, which is just like, I have no interest. Like they look at Zillow like it's like a hobby. Like it's like an Instagram feed. I'm just messing around, looking around at things. Oh, I reached out to someone. All right. But you have no idea where they are in the stage there. So your follow-up has to account for all that. But once someone gets in a car and they go to an open house, that's a more serious person. So my follow-up is going to change based on that. So it's knowing where you're getting people from in your marketing and sales, and then knowing that, okay, at that stage, these are the objections they're going to have. And is the people I'm going after, like, what is it? If someone's first time buying a home, you get to educate them on what it's like to work with a realtor. But if you look at the numbers, most people have worked with a realtor in the past and are now getting a new one. There's only typically two reasons. One, they were disappointed with the last realtor they hired, or they forget what their name was. Like that is both those are very kinds. Most people only move every 5 to 7 years. And if the agent hasn't reached out once in the time, good chance they forgot their name. So if they were disappointed in that experience, what are the most common reasons people get disappointed? Then you're going to have to overcome that objection. If they just forget their agent's name, I mean, now you just got to be memorable and stay on top of them all the time. But that is very different than someone who's never worked with realtors before and might not even understand how the process works. So the objections are going to change based on where you're getting your clients, where those conversations are starting, and which demographic you're going after.
So when it comes to objections, but additionally past experiences that you've had with clients, what are some stories that you can share of reconfirming this is why I'm still in the real estate industry today?
So, I mean, I've always had a weird journey in the real estate world because I was an agent and I stopped being one. So I started as an agent and I did everything wrong. Like I didn't know how to market. So I started marketing and I started getting a lot of leads. Like it took me a while. Like at first I learned, here's how I get a lot of views. And back then views really meant blogging. Like everything was blogging back then because Google, Facebook, and Twitter were the only really options. Instagram didn't even exist yet. So it was kind of, we were doing blogging and I got within like 6 weeks, because I was blogging 3 to 5 times a week and I had almost no competition in my town. I was often searching like number 1 on Google. And this was back also Google Plus. I don't know if you remember what Google Plus was. You might have been like 5 years old.
I wasn't in marketing back then.
Just a few years. So Google Plus, it was a short-lived answer to Facebook. And when Google first launched it, and this is happy accident for me. I was using Google Blogger as my platform because I was like, if I want to rank on Google, I'm just going to use Google's product. That was my entire reasoning. And what ended up happening was they were trying to increase people's use of Google Plus because it wasn't going well. And so what they did is every Google Plus post automatically ranked quickly on Google. And my Blogger account automatically made every blog post a Google Plus post.
Oh.
And so within 15 minutes of any blog post I put up, I was on the first page, usually in the top 3 on Google, with my photo attached to it. So you'd have like the search results as you'd normally see them, but mine also included my photo. With a byline on it. So like they were doing a really good job for a brief window. And I remember I got a call one day from an agent out of town, and he's like, "Andrew, I need to pick your brain." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I want to know how you're killing it on Google Plus." I'm like, I didn't even know I was on Google Plus. So it turns out I had like 100,000 views coming through on Google Plus because of what was happening there. And then so I started getting all this traffic. And then I realized I don't know how to get any of them to reach out to me. So I was getting almost no leads. Then I went to a seminar in direct response marketing, and I figured out how to, okay, I'll just throw in some direct response offers into on like the sidebar at the end of my posts. Then I started getting leads. Then I realized I am actually terrible at converting leads. I would get these leads in, couldn't convert them. So then I trained myself how to convert the leads. And then I got them as clients, and I realized I'm actually a terrible realtor. I don't even know how to give service. I had to learn how to be a good realtor. And then as I was figuring it all out, Remax actually approached me. So there's a company that's like a sub-franchisor. So they owned the rights to about 30% of worldwide Remax. They hired me to train their agents. So I ended up traveling North America, but mainly like Ontario, Atlantic Canada, and a little bit of the US, training Remax agents how to go digital. Because back then, again, like this was still a time when people didn't believe like Facebook was real. Like there was this belief back then that like this is like the fake world that doesn't exist. No one can ever build a business of anything. Like the internet was still that vague, like this is not business. And I knew that wasn't true because like you can't build a real relationship online. But I had been online enough that like I had made real friends that I would hang out with that we met because of like a Facebook group that we were in about like the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I was like, if I can make real world friends, there's no reason I can't make real world clients. So I didn't listen to all the people who said that you couldn't make friends or you couldn't get clients from it. And then I started getting them. So then they hired me to kind of train agents how to do that. So I ended up just traveling around doing that. And then my original plan was do this for a couple of years because they're sending me all over North America to meet agents. And I can build the best referral network and learn from a bunch of agents and bring all that back and become like one of the best realtors. But then every time I train people, I heard the same thing. Can I just pay you to do this for me? Yeah. I was like, that's a business I enjoy more. I really like this side. The actual being a realtor part, I didn't enjoy as much, but I really liked the marketing side of things. So then I started a marketing agency called Just Sell Homes. So I've been doing that. And like that has evolved a lot over the years. Primarily now we do Facebook ads for realtors. So that's our main business is running Facebook ads for realtors and then training them how to do it as well. And then about 3.5 years ago, I bought Real Estate Magazine, which is the trade publication. So now we're a media company that has an agency as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting road in real estate, but it's been all over the place.
Yeah. So when it comes for you seeing opportunities now, what has changed from the Andrew 5 to 10 years ago of finding opportunities compared to what has changed now for the Andrew who's currently looking for opportunities? And when it comes to your thought process.
There is some nuance here, but generally I don't care about thousands of views anymore. Like that mattered to a degree back then. And there's still some value to it now. Like, yes, if I could have 200,000 views from my ideal clients, great.
That's great. Yeah.
I don't care if I have a reel that goes viral and hits 2 million views. Like I have made 6 figures off posts that have hundreds of views and made nothing off posts that had 100,000 views. But it's like, I look at, am I getting my content in front of the right people who are potential clients? And that's the difference from being someone who's like in an industry to trying to be an influencer. So if you're trying to be an influencer, you get paid by views. You get paid by, I have this massive audience. Like I know, so like, for example, our trade publication in Canada, if you look at it, there's only about 150 to 160,000 licensed agents in the entire country. That means like we max out around there. Like there's support staff, there's a few other people. So let's even generously say there's 200,000 people in Canada that could be potential audience. We've had posts with 500,000 views. That is statistically impossible that we kept it within the industry, right? Like it's these broke out into the wrong people, and all those people are never going to be clients of ours. So when we look at it, like we actually actively look at less at how many views, and we look at the metrics downstream of that actually drive the needle for us. Like, does this lead to people coming to sales pages? Is it subscribers and the right subscribers? And that we care more about the quality of the people we're getting in front of. And like, there are specific things we'll do with our marketing that we know will limit the number of views, but keep it within the groups that we want. So we very much look at how we're wording it. Will this appeal to people in the industry, but almost make no sense to others, because that keeps them out and keeps the people that make sense to with us. So like we use very sometimes insider language on purpose
jargon,
to dissuade other people from reading it because it won't make as much sense to them. And so that's where we are a little bit, whereas if I was trying to get consumers in the real estate world, I would like change the language I use because I'm trying to reach more mass market. But we're not trying to be mass market. We're trying to very hone in on our specific group.
So what is your exact step-by-step process if, let's say, a Facebook campaign is not working for a real estate agent?
I mean, we obviously do the first thing, which is just, are all the settings as dialed in as we want them to be? Like you always want to do a quick QA, because there have been times where like I've been doing Facebook ads for long enough to know they have glitches in their system. So we always do a quick, is everything set the right way? And that's just that you have to do that, because Facebook screws up enough that these things happen. And it's also people screw up enough that like maybe they accidentally set the wrong targeting. But you double check everything, just make sure it's all the set. Then we look at what is the targeting. So is anything need to be adjusted there? With real estate agents and being in real estate, we actually can't do that much targeting because of housing category restrictions. And that keeps your targeting relatively broad. So we'll also just double check that, make sure there's nothing there. Then we go into the copy and creative. We look at the copy and creative from that perspective. So we'll look at, is this driving enough clicks, or is it, what's the leads? Like, how's that language going to attract people? Is the image of enough of one that would get someone to stop and look at it? So we're just looking at each of the elements of the creative. And then from there, it really depends on the type of ad. Like, is it one that we're doing to fill out a Facebook lead form? Is it one that's trying to drive traffic? Is it one that's just trying to get engagement on the post? And that's when we'll look at, is it driving people to that right piece? And we'll typically look at like the creative itself. If we're trying to drive traffic or leads, we'll look at the image, because typically images still outperform videos on a cost per lead basis and a cost per click basis. So videos will bring you higher quality leads typically, but not everyone is looking for higher quality. Some want higher volume. So we'll look at, all right, is the image right way? Yeah, it's a balance. And how we kind of frame it when we work with clients is, because they're used to these services that come in and say like, okay, I'm going to generate you leads. You have to adapt your business to the system we're building out for you.
Yeah.
And they just start getting leads in. They don't know anything about them. We look at it different. Like, you're getting a team member to run your ads, and we're going to help them adapt to your business. So if we're going to take your feedback and adjust these, and if you want higher quality leads, I can get you higher quality leads. We're just going to have to decrease the volume. Because like at the end of the day, all you're doing, if you're saying I'm getting you better quality leads, and again, this is a mass oversimplification, but if I want higher quality leads, I give someone more hoops to jump through. Someone who jumps through more hoops is going to become a better quality lead at the end of the day. So if we can start here with no hoops, and I'm going to get you the cheapest possible lead, and so you can get as many as you want. Like if you want 500 leads next month, I'll get you 500 leads. They're not going to be the highest quality ones you can imagine. And then we'll start adding in hoops for those people to jump through. And then you will find where your sweet spot is. Some people, they want to actually stay here with the highest volume of leads possible. Others are like, add all the hoops in. I only want people who get all the way to the bottom for that. So that's a big one that we look at, is like, it's amazing how often it's not the ad that's not working. It's that it's not working with the system they have. And so the ad's doing its job, but it's not doing its job relative to the system they've set up. And not enough people look at what's that follow-up system look like. So we will also look at, all right, what are the leads are set up? What's their follow-up? Does it actually fit with their business? And it's like sometimes I will actually make ads that to me I would think are like less effective, but they're more effective to work with their system. So because for my best interest for them to get deals done, and because an agent doesn't need a high volume of deals, it's okay to like essentially let a few leads go if we can get a couple transactions out of it. And agents will often be happy, like again, pricing of the services, relatively speaking, in the area they're in, it doesn't take that many deals to have a very positive ROI working with us. So if we can hit that as quick as possible, then we know they'll stay for a while. So we look at, okay, what's best fit into their system? Like we have clients who are like, I'll give you a great example. We have a client, one of the friendliest guys in the world, doesn't really talk on the phone much, has no CRM. Like his CRM is the calendar app on his phone. But he closes more leads than you'd expect. And the reason is very, very simple. They have to give their address because they're selling their home, they're buying a home. When he gets a new lead in and it has their address, he gets in his car, drives and knocks on the door. That's his lead conversion system. He just goes to their house. And he's just such a friendly guy that he actually gets quite a few conversions that way. That is a horribly inefficient system. But
it works.
It's ROI positive. He's happy with it, and it fits how he works because he's never going to set up drip campaigns. He doesn't want drip campaigns running. He doesn't want all these messages to automatically goes out because he finds them annoying when he gets them. So his system is all about like, I want to be face to face with people. And like it works for him. But like I've told this story to agents before and they're like, there is not a chance I am ever doing that. And other people will be like, I got a whole call center set up that's just going to hammer the phones the second lead comes in. And I'm going to basically make this you're going to buy or die. And I'm going to keep going until you do it. And you have to, again, it's about figuring out the right one for your business and what that setup is. Is it going to be, I'm going to go get the car and be the friendliest person, or am I just going to hound you until you either buy or die? I don't look at it as there's a right or wrong there. It's like which one's right for your business. Like I'm more of an inbound marketer, so I don't do any chasing. I let people come to me. When they come to me, I turn more people away than we take on typically because I want to find the right fits. But we are lucky enough to be in a position where we get enough people coming in that works. If I was brand new starting out, I'd have to be more outbound. So again, it's finding the right one for kind of the situation you're in at any time. This is one thing to always, if you're going to work with, you have to, as for your business, you're doing an agency, right? That's kind of what your business is. You need to define, are you working with e-commerce or you're working with local businesses? So they work very differently. 99% of advice out there for marketers on social platforms is actually e-commerce based advice. Most of that is almost irrelevant to local business, local service business marketing. And that's where I think a lot of people get too into the weeds with all these updates. Like I run my entire business that is like so many platforms are algorithm based and people always come like, how do you stay on top of the algorithms? I don't, because for what we do, it has surprisingly little impact. All people talk about all these changes in the ads manager and all the platforms. Our cost per lead maintains the same. Our conversion rates for the most part are maintaining the same because it's a really simple thing. We are getting our ads in front of the right people. And the way that my theory, and this is like why Google Plus worked, why we've had success on these platforms, is very simple. We take what we want to promote and we package it how that platform wants it to be packaged. So when you look at Google, Google's only goal is to serve the best answer possible to what someone typed into Google. And so all we do is if someone typed in this term, that's what we're going after, whether it's paid or organic. What are they looking for based on that search? Here's the best possible answer we can give them. And then you just give them a very easy call to action at the end of it to do business with you. And that call to action can change depending on how you want to attract that lead. So like it could be a more informational style one, or it could be a very direct hire us if you need our help. That can change based on your business model. But we give it that. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the end of the day, they just want you to spend as much time on the platform as possible. So I know at the end of the day, if I just try to make it so my content helps whatever platform I'm promoting it on achieve their goals, they're always going to promote me at the end of the day. So I don't really care that much about these. Like, yes, there's a little bit of nuance here and there, and some things I let other people figure out the changes, and then I just come in a month later after someone else has put all this effort into figuring out what these little nuances are, and then I go update it then. But it's not that I ever have to stay up to date that much on it, because local service businesses work so different than e-commerce, and almost all the advice. Like if I was running an e-commerce business, then I'd have to be way more on top of those little changes. But when you're also working like a realtor, for example, a high-end budget for most realtors is going to top out at like $5,000 a month for Facebook ads. The majority are $500 to $2,000 a month. At that range, you can't test a lot of options, right? Like even at like, to test properly, like e-commerce, you need like minimum $10 a day per variation, roughly, is the advice that they follow. For a realtor, that means you only have 3 variations for the entire month a lot of the time, because they're going to spend between 900 to 1,000 max. And that changes how you can approach it. So you can't approach that, let's do more variations all the time. They're never going to have the budget to give you enough data to make that work. So you have to nail that in a lot tighter.
So you mentioned earlier that statics and videos, like there's a difference to each. So when it comes to you advising your real estate agent clients on what type of ads they should create, what are 3 types of ads that tend to work the best for your clients?
I mean, listings. So if they have a listing, we just do a Facebook lead form, really straightforward. We give them information about the home and hero shot of the home. They click on it, lead form comes up. You get $1 to $3 a lead pretty consistently with that. From there, it's a list of homes, which is exactly what it sounds like, get a list of homes. The key to that is not just to say get a free list of homes. It's like get like one of our most successful ones during like the COVID, because everyone wanted to be outside because they're stuck in their homes. Whereas like in a city, it was like get a list of condos with outdoor space. And then when you went north to the suburbs where we were, it became get a list of homes with big yards. A little bit further north, you had to say get a list of rural property homes, because they referred to it as that. Further north than that, they didn't refer to them as rural property homes. They referred to them as homes with acreage. So then it switched to get a list of homes with acreage. So we look very much like, what are those things? So like another one in Montreal that worked really well was like get a list of loft conversion properties. And so what you want to look at is, who's my ideal client? What's the type of home that to them is like this is everything I've ever wanted in a home. And it's not the easiest thing to find in the world. And you just advertise that, get this list and I'll send it to you. You can do things like get a list of foreclosures, get a list of, power of sales, things like that. They work. You'll get leads fairly cheap, but those are going to be typically the lowest quality leads. So I'm not a huge fan personally of running power of sale and foreclosure lists, but they do work if you do want leads. But it's one of those ones where it's like you're getting people who are like, oh, I have a budget of 100,000 and the cheapest property is 400. Like, yeah, but it's foreclosure. I'm like, yeah, but that means it might go for 350, 300. It's not going for 100, which is what you're saying your budget is. That doesn't exist, at least for the most part. So we do look at it that way, where it's a little bit different. So those are kind of the main ones. And then the third one we like to do a lot, which is because of the housing category, is what we call our housing category workaround ad. So the housing category, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but basically, because realtors typically work in a small geographic area, a housing ad limits you to a 15-mile radius, which for a lot of people, that is way too big. Like, think of an agent in Manhattan. If you said 15-mile radius, right? Like it's way too big. So we look at like there's 2 ways around the housing category while still being compliant. Like, don't ever use this as a way to get around like the actual legal of it, but sometimes Facebook's a little overzealous in how they apply it. So this is the way to get around that. So option 1 is you strategically use the landscape that you have, because the 15-mile radius doesn't have to be in the middle of what you're doing. Like, we had clients in West Palm Beach, and I put 14 and a half miles in the ocean, and we just used the half mile that was on the shoreline, because that's where they worked. So we just went up and down the shoreline doing waterfront property. But then the other one, and this is what we do a lot, is we do non-real estate video ads. And so we'll say, okay, their ideal clients is this demographic in this area, this very specific neighborhood. So we'll just get them to film a video that's like, here's my 3 favorite coffee shops in this neighborhood. And then we put a ton of money without the housing add-on, because this is not about housing, it's about these coffee shops, just building up a retargeting audience that has 3-second views, which means anyone who watched this video is going to get added to a custom audience. That custom audience is only going to be people from their farm area, basically. Then our real estate ads, you're still allowed to retarget video views. So we take the video views for the real estate ad, but we only show it to people who watch this video. So now, before, where they couldn't target the area, the neighborhood they work in, now they can run real estate ads just to that group of people. And we're just constantly building up kind of like an asset. Like, here's this audience of people on Meta from our very narrow area that we go to.
So with real estate, I know there's some things you can't say in marketing. I know there's one specifically, like you can't say this is great for a child. You just say, oh, there's a nightstand or something along the lines of that. Like, what are some things that you can't say in real estate specifically outside of what I just mentioned?
So, I mean, I primarily work in Canada, not as much in the US.
What about Canada then?
Canada, so I know both, but we do more in Canada. So I might get a little bit wrong about the US, but I'm mostly still. But like, at the end of the day, fair housing, it's the same, which is you can't exclude any demographic of people. So if you promote to families, now you're excluding non-families. So really what you're looking at is, if I read this, would this exclude any specific demographic? Would it feel like it's like, again, oversimplification, but basically look at it and say, is this going to, but like, if you want to appeal to families, you take more photos of the family friendly amenities in the property and you share those, right? If you want to appeal to investors, you're going to show the stuff that investors care about. If you want to appeal to someone who's single, you're going to show more photos that highlight what would be appealing to them. You like, there's no way to 100% never completely, because like you can, how you market it is going to change how people react to it. You just can't always be explicit about what it says. But you still have to do a little bit from the perspective of like, who the likely buyers are of a property and you want it to appeal to them. You just want to be careful that you're kind of not doing it in a discriminatory way. So we always look at, who the likely buyers are. And sometimes we'll nail that into like 2, 3, 4 groups. Cause like there are certainly a lot of neighborhoods, like in my area, there's probably 4 types of people who would buy here. And so we would look at, okay, for that group of 4, some ads are going to have to appeal to all 4. So we're going to generalize those a bit, but depending on where we advertise it, it might change because one group might be overrepresented. So we might try to overrepresent the ad towards that group. But like for us, it's just about getting in front of the right people at the right time. But yeah, I just avoid things like, it's not a family home. It's a home big enough for everyone in your house. Right. So, but I mean, the oversimplified answer here, which is an easy one, take your copy, give it to ChatGPT with the fair housing policy and just say, is this in line with that? Like basically just ask it, does this cause me any issues with fair housing? Yes or no. If it says yes, it explains why. And then you rewrite the ad with it. So like and same with like, if you ever violate and Meta says like, oh, you violated this policy, put the policy into AI and be like, why would an AI flag this one? And normally but like AI gets it wrong. Facebook especially gets it wrong a lot. Like the amount of beige homes we've marketed that get flagged for nudity is ridiculous. And it's literally just like a house that has beige paint and they're like, nudity.
That's hilarious.
If you're doing local service, it's like bringing a Ferrari to a foot race. Like it doesn't make sense for what we're doing.
Real estate.
I like Hyros. It's a great platform for the volume of spend. If you're doing local service businesses and things like that, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So like this is where for your business, you got to figure out who your ideal client is and then figure out the tools that make sense for that. Because Hyros will never make sense and pay off for a realtor to use in 99.9% of the case.
Let's say 30, 40 years down the road, once your kids are grown up and adults, what is one thing that you want them to remember about their childhood on how you influence them to become who they are, let's say 30, 40 years from now?
how I influence them. I mean, big one I want them to think of is there. Like that's one of the reasons I still don't have an office. I could go get one, but I'm here and I pick them up every day from school. My wife quit her career and she had a very serious career for a long time, but she was away too much. So we actually got her to come work with me here. So she's now my partner in the business, and she drops them off at school every day. I pick them up every day. Like I just want them to think that I was there and I was available to them, and that you don't have to give up one to have the other. Because a lot of people kind of focus on this business side of like, you got to grind 12, 15-hour days and let go. Like you don't have to. You can have a very, very nice business and still be there. So sometimes you have to make side. Like when my kids were young, there was times that looked like I'd get up before them. I'd work a couple hours. I'd spend a couple hours getting them ready for school, dropping them off, come back and work, go pick them up again, and then come back after they're in bed. Like sometimes those are the sacrifices. Like maybe I sacrificed how much time I was hanging out with friends. But for my family, I want them to know like I was there because like Ed, he was a great dad. But like my dad, he worked in concrete forming. That's why I got into that a long time ago. And he owned the company, but this is like pre-cell phones, pre-internet. He had to be there at 6 a.m. every day because he had to tell all the crews and the men where to go and what to do each day. And then he had to wait for them to get back at the end of their shift to get a recap of what they got done that day. So then he could assign the crews for the next day, which meant he was minimum 12 to 13 hours every day out of the house. Like you didn't have as much time when he was there. It was great, but he didn't have as much time as I did with family. So I decided I'm not going to do that. Like, so maybe when they're older, I'll get an office. Because I like there are a lot of advantages to not being a fully remote company, but we are sacrificing those advantages for the advantages of being there. And like the other thing it's done nicely for us is like we have a lot of employees that the reason you're here is we give them that flexibility with their family. So like our kind of like we tell kids like if your kid's sick, you go get them, you bring them home. Don't worry about it. Like we deal with it. If there's a recital, a sports game, a field trip you want to be the parent volunteer on, go be the parent volunteer on that trip. Like you don't even have to. The way I frame it is like you don't have to ask permission to have that day off. You just have to let us know if you're going to be there or not. And as long as the job's done, we don't care. But that's a big thing for our business is we want people to be present.
One last interesting question is, have your kids done any lemonade stands yet?
Oh, yeah. They've done lemonade stands. One also currently has a bracelet building competition or business. Not
That's great.
So
I used to do.
She builds.
Are those like the little? I did those when I was a kid too. My sister.
So these are keychains. So these are $2. These are 10.
10.
I was
undercharging.
Told her to work her pricing. She's high, but I mean, she's made a couple $100 doing it. But it's good. So I know she like our oldest. She's very much likes that. So they've done the lemonade stand did very well with it. The base was like the bracelet business is newer, but they're having fun with it too. So yeah, no, they like to do that stuff.
This has been the Operator Podcast with your guest Andrew Fogliato. Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.